If you haven't heard this song yet, go listen to it now. Mariah Dawn, Revival. It's a beautiful song. Beautiful, beautiful song. We're just going to give it a few minutes.
Yes. So we are on, as usual, we are on our respective IG. So if you are on IG, then be sure to follow Alleiah Monet. If you're on Aaliyah's IG, be sure to follow Dr._Sha-Lai. And then we are also on Facebook under Sha-Lai Williams. We're going to have a couple of guest speakers popping on. So super excited and exciting, right?
Yes.
I feel like there was something else I was gonna say, but I can't remember. I can't believe it's almost June.
Right.
Let me just throw that out
Practically,
there.
it is June.
It practically is. Monday, June 1st.
Exactly.
And we've been like doing this weird like shelter in place thing for almost 3 months.
Legit.
It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy, crazy.
I'm ready to get out.
We almost there. I can see it. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I can see the light.
I can see the light. Okay. Alright. So we can't see. I haven't seen that. Alright. So, again, happy Friday. We are here to, again, have conversation about, our main topic for tonight is healing. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight. However, we did have somebody that we were going to welcome on just for a few minutes just to give us a little feedback. Again, we've been doing this for quite some time now. Since it's week 8. So it's been officially 2 months. And so we, again, are just looking to invite somebody to just come on and give us some feedback. Everything that you guys have been, sharing with us, and everybody that's tuned in and giving feedback or left a comment or shared. We really appreciate all of you. And it just means a lot that you guys have stuck with us over this time. Hi. So yeah, we haven't seen her pop on yet though, so we don't know if she's here.
While we're waiting, we will just say, in all seriousness and solidarity, that we are definitely thinking of and praying for not only the family of George Floyd, but Breonna Taylor. We can just go down the list of the unfortunate murders of African Americans in this country, and I'm sure beyond. But we just wanted to take a moment to say that, like many other people in this nation, we are saddened and appalled and upset and angry and just the gamut of emotions. So we are actually thinking about doing a whole nother video on that, just to share our thoughts, to give people the opportunity to share their thoughts and go from there. So I wanted to mention that. And then also on a much, much lighter note, Alleiah and I are desperately trying to figure out what to call ourselves. Other than, Dr. Sha-Lai and Alleiah Monet, like a combined name. Yes, so we posted things on our respective social media. We just did an IG story. So if you have any thoughts, any creative suggestions on a name for us, we would love, love, love it. You can write it in the comments here or on IG or Facebook, or send it by carrier pigeon, however you choose to get it to us. It's super fun. So hey, Melissa and Dr. Renee and whomever else may be watching. You can't see the small print on your phone, but Diamond. Hi, Diamond. Just Curls.
Yeah, shout out to
Curls.
them.
Be sure to follow
Hairstyle
them.
inspired by them.
Oh,
by the way,
IG.
actually, shout out to Just Curls. So our first guest we still haven't seen come on just yet. So, we're just gonna jump into it a little bit, and then once we see her on, then we'll go ahead and invite her on. So again, the first topic that we have for tonight is healing. There was a question that came to mind, I think sometime last week while I was journaling, but no, I was on social media actually. And this thought just came across my mind because of something that I saw. And so I had to ask myself the question, how do you know when you are healed from your pain? I think it's something that's easily detectable, I guess, in a sense, if it's physical. But when it's emotional or mental, I think, it's kind of challenging to know, like, well, am I healed? Like, have I grown? Or is there something that's still hurting me? Like, how do you know when you've truly healed from the emotional and mental damage that you've suffered? And that is a serious question for me. I feel like it may be a serious question for so many other people as well. So we just wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight. Again, I don't have a clear answer for that. However, something that I believe when it comes to healing, it's an ongoing process. And I feel like it's just something that you have to just be mindful of. But it's just an ongoing process, and I think the process begins when you open up about it. It's challenging to hold on to something. It's challenging to hold on to the hurt and the pain that you have experienced. And I think we give it power whenever we don't speak about it, whenever we are ashamed or we feel guilty and we don't make it known. I think that just, it causes us to suffer longer, and it does more damage to the wound than it does in helping it. So something that even my youth pastor mentioned just recently in Bible study was something that I thought was really, really good, was that the deformities have to be exposed before the healing can start. And to me, I was like, wow, that is so true, because we can't really start to heal unless we're willing to say, hey, this is what's wrong.
Right.
Or, hey, this is what is hurting me. This is what is causing me pain. If we just continue to hide it and if we don't acknowledge it, we can't tend to it. So I think that the healing process truly begins once you voice and make known what it is that's hurting you. So even if that's to a pastor or to a friend, to God, like, you have to make it known what's hurting you. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to hurt you. And so from that, I'll speak from my experience. When I was giving my testimony about my recent relationship in my blog series, I Hope This Romantic, I truly felt the release. I felt myself like regain my power back because I was telling my truth, and it was something that I was no longer hiding behind. It was something that I was no longer, nobody knows, and I feel so ashamed. I feel so like dirty, or I feel like this, because nobody knows. But once I put it out there and was able to see that people still loved me anyway, that people embraced me even more, that people, supported me and was proud of me and was happy for me, like, that helps with the healing, because then that you're not suffering anymore. You're able to live in your truth, and you're able to live out in freedom. And I think that's just so important, again, with just sharing your story, even if it starts with one person. You don't have to tell the whole world right off bat, but just tell somebody. And I think that just helps to release a lot of the pain and the suffering that emotional and mental damage or abuse can cause. Another point that I was going to make, and feel free to jump in and stop me whenever. Okay. Another point that I thought of earlier, and again, this is just me kind of just thinking it through as far as how you know when you are healed. I kind of had the thought of when it doesn't hurt anymore. So I kind of thought of, let's say you have a scratch or you get a physical injury. Of course, on site it hurts, it's throbbing, it's bleeding, it's whatever, but after some time it heals, and you may still have a scar, but it doesn't hurt anymore because you've allowed time, you've tended to it, you've taken care of it, you've done what you needed to do to make sure that that wound heals appropriately. And so though you may still be able to see it, it doesn't hurt anymore. So that may or may not, feel free, give me feedback, let me know what you guys think. But that was just something that I thought of when it comes to healing, and how do you know if you've achieved healing, or what does it look like. And then just lastly, and then I'll let her go. Just some steps to healing, of course, would be prayer, worship, accountability. So again, opening up and being honest with someone. Yay! So yeah, we have our guest coming on. But yeah, some steps to healing, which is prayer, worship, accountability, so opening up, and of course counseling.
Hi! Maybe I should turn my camera a little bit. Hi guys!
Hello.
I miss you guys so much.
We miss you too. Definitely. So for those who don't know, on my Instagram, we have a guest speaker who is joining my Facebook. Dear friend, this is our Casey. And we just want to say about the wanted to give the feedback for us. But we just want to say about to give just a little feedback and what we've been doing, what we've been talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely wanted to join and give a little bit of feedback from my perspective. Alleiah and I were having a conversation a few days ago, and I was telling her, I feel like topics like this are so touchy, and so, people get so awkward about it, and that's why it's so beautiful that you guys are so open and you're boldly sharing, and you're not leaving out any detail. And so I was telling her, I know that people get really awkward about this kind of stuff, but that's what makes it so powerful and so beautiful. And I am learning from you guys' stories and everything that you guys are putting out there. I'm learning from it. And so now, I can take everything that I've gained from your experience and, do something different. So I just appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And I just think that it's great. I support you guys 100%. And I love it. And I love y'all. So
Thank you for taking the time to sit down. We really appreciate it. And we love you. Thank you.
You guys are so powerful and so strong. And it's really inspiring. Like, it makes me feel like I can literally share anything. Like, I can put it all out there, and, somebody else can gain from it, because I've gained so much hearing you guys talk about your stories. So, yeah, I love it. And I love you guys. Okay, bye. Love y'all.
Bye.
trying something new. Oh shoot. Adding the person in on Facebook. And so I think
yes, Diamond.
It was like the feedback from our multiple devices. I'm not sure so.
Yeah, but it didn't.
We'll figure that out.
Had our last guest. I don't know.
But that was because it was on Instagram, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
We're figuring it out. Bear with us. Bear with us.
So yeah, I think I pretty much summed up what I had to say again in reference to healing and how do you know when you're healed or what it looks like. Just one last comment was that when it comes to healing, I think when you're vulnerable and you share your experience, you share your testimony, it helps to build up your confidence, especially when you've been through emotional or mental abuse or just any type of, relationship that may have been damaging to you. I think once you, are honest about it and you're open about it, that's when you are able to build up your confidence and identify, the problem areas even within yourself, and you learn how to better navigate in relationships so that you don't find yourself in the same situation again. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Awesome. Just again, a thank you to Casey for popping on. Yes. It's super encouraging to us to hear that. One of the things that we have been so excited about is not only the opportunity and platforms to share our respective experiences, but to do it truthfully and in transparency, which can be very scary. Yeah. And so to know that people are hearing it, seeing it, heeding it, sounds like is super exciting and encouraging to us as we continue to put it out there. Yeah. So hopefully now, Melissa, everything is okay with the sound. Again, we apologize for that. When Alleiah mentioned this topic to me, how do you know you're healed? I'm like, oh, that's a good one, because I don't know. Because I think it is so tricky depending on the situation. Alleiah gave the examples of if it's a physical issue versus a spiritual or a mental or an emotional or a psychological or a financial. There's so many different ways you can look at when you have been hurt in some way. Generally speaking, we've spoken about relationships, right? So male-female relationships, even friendships you've had with people. And as I think about and reflect on relationships and friendships that have hurt me, I think the way that I have known that I was healed was when I could either physically be around the person and not want to punch them, or or do something petty, or just mean, or if I could see their name. So if we had mutual friends and somebody else mentioned them, that I could honestly be oh, okay, I think it's just how I my perception of healing is based on how I then respond when that person is visible or something about them is visible. So I think about, so I'll use this example, my Parker's dad. So he and I have been divorced for a long time, probably almost 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And I would say it was probably in the last year or two that I could honestly say I'm healed, because if he texts me now something about Parker or just something, I don't get angry. I don't get riled up. Even if it's something what color is it? In the past, that would be what you mean? What color is it? I mean, it just, whew. There are any, single parents out here, you may understand what I'm saying. But every little thing, I would allow it to get me riled up and I knew that I had achieved a level of maturity when, even if he said something that was kind of crazy, like, I didn't feel the need to respond.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't respond to that text, and would maybe respond the next day when I was calm, or could respond back in a Christ-like manner. And it didn't like stick with me for days. Because that would be the other thing. Like, something would happen and it's a week later and I'm still talking about it. Like, he probably done forgot about it or moved on with his life, doing whatever, and I'm still like, well, I can't believe. So I think how we respond to a person denotes if we're healed or not, whether it's them being in our physical presence, or we having to interact with them in some way, or, like I said, even hearing their name, when we don't feel the need to like get even or get them back, or you know, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Think about the Bible, and the Bible talks about, you know, heaping coals, like, so you show kindness, you pray for your enemies and those who have despitefully used you, and those kind of things. So I think when you can honestly do that, when honestly be like, you know what, I'm good, you good, and I'm gonna pray for you, and you mean that, like, you can honestly say that and do that, then I feel like you're healed. I think, because I was thinking about when you said the example about like when you get physically injured, and like once it's healed, it is healed. But certain kind of injuries, so like, for example, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I had surgery on my wrist like 3 years ago, and obviously there's still a scar there, and sometimes randomly it'll itch, like, and it's healed, right? It's not unhealed, it's not reverting back, but like something will happen with the skin. I don't know how that works. I have to ask an MD doctor, but like it'll just, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so I think even in relationships is like that. You can be coasting, you can be, I'm good, you can be, I'm healed, I've moved on, I've forgiven them, and then a memory will pop up on Facebook, and you'll be like, what you, like, all of a sudden you're like emotional, and you're like, but why am I emotional? I dealt with that,
right?
And but it might be some residual. Does that mean you're not healed? No.
Right. Does
that mean you're not over it? No. Does that mean you still mad? Not necessarily. It just means we're human, and we live in this flesh, and this flesh has emotions, and sometimes they surprise us. So I just say that to say there may be times when you've done everything right. You know, you fasted, you prayed, you exposed it, you talked to wise counsel, you know, you've done all of these things, and 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years later, something might trigger you or pop up. And that's okay. Yeah. Don't dwell in it. Don't kick yourself about it. Like, just understand that life happens, and we feel the way we feel sometimes. So I would love to hear
for sure.
From you guys, like, how do you know, like, when you've been in situations where you've been hurt and you're either in the process of healing or you've achieved healing, like, how did that happen? What did you do? So feel free to pop on and share that as we continue to discuss.
Yeah, I think that was really good. The idea of how you respond to either seeing a person or hearing their name or whatever, I think that is major when it comes to healing. And especially when it comes like out of nowhere, you kind of recognize like, oh snap, that still bothers me. Even if it's been months or years, like, just something random can cause you to think like, oh my gosh, like, am I still hurting from this? Am I still like, so that was pretty much what happened to me. I saw something, I was just like, dang, I thought I was good, but maybe I need to do some more praying I need to, ask God for guidance. Because I'm just like, I don't know. That's why I say it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. So,
and with that, I will just say, I think it also depends. Like, I don't know how much we're sharing, but I think it also depends on the nature of the relationship with the person. Like, if this was your best friend since the 3rd grade, and y'all been besties for 20 years, and something happens where you guys maybe aren't as close as you once were, that might take a little more getting, processing and healing and dealing with than, your coworker that you didn't really like anyway stole your promotion. Like, you're hurt by that.
Right.
But that might not have the same weight, nor take the same length of time to heal from, or have the same residuals as the other example.
Right.
So, I think that's just another way of, like, being mindful of how different situations obviously affect us. If it's somebody who, been, I love you, I can't live without you, you're blah, 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 and then y'all ain't like that no more.
Right.
Then that probably will,
take some time.
Take some time, and then if you do see that person or see their name or see something that reminds you of them, then that might trigger a little more.
Yeah.
So, but again, let us know what you think, because we are not the expert.
We I meant to mention we should start making some disclaimers. We are not. Well, actually, you are licensed, so once I think about it, you do have your PhD. This is a real doctor, hence Dr. S. So you can probably take a little bit of what we say, just a little bit. But again, we're not experts. We're just speaking from experience. So the next topic for tonight is it's not a total straightaway, but it was something. Again, I came across something on Instagram, and I was like, wow, that really kind of ties in with what we've been talking about, and it just sent like a wave of thoughts through my mind. So I let her know. I was like, hey, I think we should talk about this, and she was down for it. So I was just like, let's bring it up. So I wish I could pull up the actual post so I could read it verbatim, but I don't think I can do that. Hey, sis Tanisha. Yeah, Casey was on here. But so essentially I saw this post on Instagram that basically said something to the effect that independent women are a threat. And it went on to say that I wish I could read it, but basically independent women are a threat, and it was going on to say that, we want you, but we want, what was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly, but the gist of it was basically like, we, meaning Black women, are expected to be like independent and strong and take care of things, and yet we are often penalized for being those very things. And I think it kind of struck a chord with like, well, how does that reconcile with this notion of submissiveness, and like how do you reconcile all that? Yeah, that's a total paraphrase. You would have to find the actual
right, but it said something as to like, as independent women, like, we desire you, but we don't need you.
And by you, we mean Black men.
Yeah.
Or men.
Men in general.
We talked about that one time too. Well, we open to
And so, and then it ended with something to the effect like, understand that I'm going to get it as far as like whatever it is, whether it's my career, you know, a new car, home, whatever. Like, we're gonna get it with or without you. And when I saw that, it just, you know, I felt so touched by it, because I was like, wow, this is so true. But at the same time, I was like, wow, this is also what makes it challenging for us as women to submit in relationships as God calls us to. And I kind of related it to the idea of, you know, single moms. Like, it's something that is widespread within the Black culture. And I think, even as myself being raised by a single mother, like, I've grown up to be independent. I've grown up to, you know that I have to provide for myself, because, you know, there's just no guarantees that the man is going to do that for me. And I think with that idea, that's what makes it harder for us as women to submit in relationships, because not only is the man oftentimes wanting us to submit solely off the basis of, I'm the man, I'm the head, but it's just like, if you're not going to do it, well, I'm going to do it myself. Like, I don't need you for this reason. I just desire you. And it's just like, if, kind of lost my train of thought, but essentially just along those lines, like, I don't need you to provide for me, because I can provide for myself. I don't need you to do this or do that. And I think this even makes me think back to something that recently happened a couple of weeks ago, when I was outside my house and I had just bought a bed frame. And so, of course, it's kind of heavy. It's a big box. And I'm taking it out of my car. This is totally random. But this total random guy pulls up and he's like, oh, I would have helped you. And I'm like, no, I got it. And I think even in situations like those, it's just like, it's hard for us, because it's just like, I got this. Like, I don't need you. Even though I even debated with myself, I was like, dang, should I let this man? Granted, I didn't know the man. So, but I was just like, even in situations like those, it's like, it's hard for us to yield and say, yes, you know, if a man offers to do something that we've been so accustomed to doing on our own, it's so easy for us to say, no, I got it. No, that's okay. Not truly understanding, like, it's again, it just makes it harder for us to submit, even in a godly way, because we're so used to doing things and providing for ourselves. And so, yeah, that's just my quick thoughts on it. So if you want to go ahead. But,
that's definitely one that I think is a particular challenge to Black women, because we are taught, raised, even to not depend on anyone. Like, when you think about a traditional or even a stereotypical kind of Black family, nobody be like, oh, we want a big papa house. No, that's not what's said. We said we want a big mama's house.
Yeah.
Like, the woman, the matriarch, the grandmother role, you know, nobody's making movies about Padilla. You know, they're making movies about Madea, because just seemingly in the Black culture, like, it is the woman, the Black woman, who is holding it all together. And we have, unfortunately, due to slavery, and that's like a whole nother topic, but like, that was how, in this country at least, the Black family was perpetuated. Like, the Black man was not there. It was the woman and her kids, and that has just continued to perpetuate in other ways till now. And so when you think about, you know, the strong, independent Black woman holding it down, taking care, if it's gonna happen, she gonna get it done. It don't matter. Like, those are all the things that are kind of ingrained in our DNA to this point, and there is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with being strong. There's nothing wrong with being independent. There's nothing wrong with holding it down. There's nothing wrong with getting it done. There is nothing wrong with that. So that is not what I'm saying.
Right.
or we are saying or implying. I think what happens with that though is, as Alleiah was saying, when you try to kind of combine that with the biblical principle of marriage and submissiveness, like, how does that work? If so much of my identity is wrapped up in me holding it down and holding it together and getting it done, then now you're saying, in some ways, it feels like you're saying, now I have to kind of take a back seat.
Yeah.
Or, you know, be the co-pilot or the helpmeet and not use some of my gifts and talents that have gotten me to this place in this covenant. And I think, I can't remember what week it was, but we kind of touched on the thought of submissiveness or what that looks like. And so I think having a full understanding of what that means will help reconcile strong and submissive. Because I actually think it takes more strength to be submissive than anything.
For sure.
Because if I know I can do it, but I'm willing to say, you know what, my husband got it, that's strength.
Yeah.
It, you know, not saying that he can't do it or couldn't handle it or whatever the case may be, but me not being the person that have to be like, well, no, do it like this. No, well, I said that. It's strength to be quiet.
Yeah.
It takes strength to hold your peace.
Yeah.
Because that is part of being a helpmate. Like, you are supporting your mate. You are supporting your spouse. You are helping them be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't mean that you're no longer strong or you're no longer smart or you no longer, can go out and work and bring home the bacon. They're not mutually exclusive. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They're being strong and being submissive are not, in my opinion, are not mutually exclusive. They're kind of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. And I think though that takes time to understand that takes, Bible reading and prayer to understand that, because again, we are kind of indoctrinated to see it in a particular way. Like, I too was raised by a single mom and heard all the time, I don't need no man, I can change a light bulb, I can change a tire, all that. I heard all of that growing up. And I don't want to change a tire. I'm talking about me. I don't want to change a tire. I will let a strange person hold the door open for me. I train my child. I will stop and let him walk first to open the door for me. Like, there are some things I'm like, no, I don't want to be strong. I'm tired.
Right. Yeah.
I'm tired of being strong. I want to defer to you.
Right.
To make a decision and to hold it together. Your turn. It's your turn.
Right.
It's your turn, bro.
Right. No, definitely.
To hold it together. So I think it is in my opinion that you can be strong and submissive, and it's okay. Like, you are still you.
Yeah.
You are still a good person. Be strong in your prayer life, and that'll help you be submissive.
Yeah.
When that time actually comes. I feel like I got on a soapbox now.
You're good. I had a comment, but I forgot it, so I'll say. I know I don't have the pen in front of me, but you said something, but I can't remember what I was gonna say to it. But something that you said at the end that caused me to think that when you said, like, it's your turn, referring to the man, like, we want to defer some of the strength to the man, and I think that's just so true, because of course, like, us being raised as we are, like, we, not to say we don't want to be like this, but it's like we desire, a spouse or a husband or something for a reason. And I think, again, it just takes time for us, that we have to learn, how to play that role. And like you said, by praying is definitely, like, the top thing that's going to help, us as women in that area. Dang, what else was I getting ready to say? But oh yeah, so I also was thinking that it's a responsibility for the man as well to, you know, to lead in such a way, and to also be to be praying, and to also be taking on his role as he should be, so that way, you know, it's like a perfect match, or we're working together and trying to, you know, make this work in the right way. And I think it's just something that you know, men have to be willing to take on that role. I don't know if I should say this because it's, I don't know. I don't want to put nobody out there, but it's just like certain things I just don't want to do. Like she mentioned, as far as like, I don't want to change a tire. They say all women should know how to change it. Yes, sure, but do I want to do it? No. If something happens, I'm like, okay, but where you at? Because I don't want to change a tire. I don't want to cut the grass. I don't want to. Now, does that say something about me? I don't know. Because if something happens, I've been asked, well, what happens if he can't cut the grass no more? Well, I'm going to hire somebody to do it. Because
there's that.
I mean, I'm just saying. And I think, though, even in this generation, we have some men that are just not willing to take on their roles in the right way. They believe in, I was reading this book, and it's just like, you believe in, you know, equality and, you know, gender roles and things like that. And I was just like, nah, but as the man, you have a certain responsibility. And I think that is something that, again, just has to be learned in prayer and reading. So that way, again, we learn this new process together, because again, the way that we've been doing it, the way that it's being done it's just out of order.
For sure.
And I just think we have to be willing and even honest with ourselves to know where we are, so that way we can, you know, again, work and move towards a better future that is more aligned with God's will, that is a greater reflection of what marriage is and how God intended for it to be. Because I think this, you know, society and the generation that we're in, you know, it's just totally flipped it, and it doesn't look like how it's supposed to. And so that's why, you know, we're creating a conversation, because I want to be a part of the change. You know, I don't want to be stubborn. I don't want to live as I don't need you, I do it all on my own. Like, I don't want to be like that. So, so yeah.
No, I love that something you said when you talked about kind of traditional roles. I think sometimes too, that's where, again, especially for Black women, and I'm, you know, totally making general blanket statements, and I know that this is not true for every Black woman or every Black man. Again, we're just sharing our experiences, what we've seen, what we think, and would love feedback on what you think. In my experience, like personally, raising a kid, seeing my mom, seeing other women in my family, like it has felt like we had to do everything. Like even when they were married, like they had to do everything. And I think however your marriage looks, as far as like how you divide roles, like say in your household, the woman is the, you know, breadwinner and the dad stays home with the kids. Like whatever it is that works for your house,
right?
That's great. I think the important thing, or the thing that we're kind of speaking on, is have y'all talked about it, and what does that look like? Because even in that, you know, in however the roles may look, a woman may still feel like she has to hold it all together. Like, so in my mind, if my husband and I both work, I don't want to come home and also be the only one that cooks, or the only one who cleans. I'm the only one that's helping the kids with the homework. I gotta get them ready, because somebody might say, well, we're doing traditional roles. That's the woman role. Okay, but I worked too. So like, when do I get a break? Right. Because I don't want to be strong all the time. It would be helpful to kind of, spread that out. And so I think that is a very healthy conversation to have when you're dating, even. Yeah, for sure. To talk about, like, what was your home life? What was your family of origin like? What did that look like? What does it mean to you, so that in these conversations you're navigating? Because he might legit say, I don't know how to cut the grass. Why you want me to cut the grass? I don't know how to cut the grass. And because we're assuming he's a guy, right? And he's supposed to know how to cut the grass. Maybe they lived in an apartment. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But like, I feel like if these conversations are had and we're open and honest, then that lets everybody put their respective strengths, their respective strong suits on the table, and then we complement each other, and work together. I have cut grass. I don't have to, but if that was something I was cool with doing, and I did that, and he did all the laundry, bet, because I hate laundry. I hate doing laundry. Yeah. So if that's the trade-off in our household, that's cool. And I know that's, might not sound like it's talking about, well, strength versus submissive, but that's an acknowledgement of, hey, if in our conversation my role of being a helpmeet is to cut grass, I'm okay with that, because we've had this conversation, and he's like, babe, I got the laundry. I'm winning. I'm winning. Because guess what? The grass only need to be cut like 6 months out the year. Laundry need to be done every week. So I think I'm winning.
Well, that is true.
But just something to think about, because I do think sometimes we get ourselves caught up in what we expect and what we live, and maybe it'll be a little slightly different than that, and then you can easily submit when you've had those conversations.
For sure. So that's pretty much.
Yeah, that was pretty much.
That's pretty much it. I feel like we've never ended.
Run out of things to say.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's our first time for everything.
But yeah, that is what we have for you guys. Sorry.
You're my OCD. You're like clicking and spinning. And I'm like, oh Lord, please stop it.
That is what we have for you guys today. So
that is what we have. A quick plug though for our short story.
Oh,
well, a number of things actually, but we'll keep it. We'll keep it little. So just a quick plug for our short story. Some things take time. Yesterday we posted our respective part 4. So if you have not heard about Some Things Take Time, the way it's working is a short story that Alleiah and I wrote together. It's 5 parts, and each part has 2 parts to his story and a her story, and both are on our respective blogs. So you might read about the her story on Alleiah's blog and his story on my blog one week, and then the next week and might change it up, because we fancy. Exactly. So if you have not read those, we would love if you would go check those out and let us know what you think. Like, we would like your feedback on that. I know, I think I can honestly say for my, when I did the personal blog, Not Your Typical Love Story, I got like lots of comments on that, and I think that was because it was personal. Yeah. And so people may feel like less attached to a short story. But as the writers of the short story, we would love to get your feedback. Like, do the characters make sense? Does the story make sense? Would you like to hear more? That would be so helpful to us. That would be just epic feedback. So if you could check out parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 at monetstruth.com.
Yes.
Or aboutfacecollaborative.com, both under blogs. Actually, I think mine might say Sister V blog and yours is blog.
Yeah, mine just says.
And then you can just click on short story and check it out. Part 5, the last and final part, is coming out next week. So be sure to check that out. I also want to put in another plug for, if you do like the personal blogs, I have another series going on called the Coveted Collection.
Yes.
And there have been 2 parts out of that already. So the first one was about whiteness. The one this week was about family, and it's just really me being very candid and transparent about some things I wished I'd had. I was gonna say growing up, but like depending on when you read it, there'll be a number of parts. It could be stuff I was thinking about last week. So
yes.
It is not limited to early childhood or anything like that. So I would love your feedback on that as well, because you know, I'm pretty confident that whatever things we talk about, we're not the only ones.
Right.
And that other people are dealing with that or have dealt with it and been delivered. So we would love your feedback on that. And one last thing for me personally is SISTAH is still a thing, sharing intimate stories that achieve healing. So again, About Face Collaborative, you can find all of this. Click on SISTAH. It will take you to, it's kind of like it looks like a survey, but it's not really a survey. And there are over 20 different topics of things that people may have experienced or may be dealing with. And it's just an opportunity for you to confidentially and anonymously, like there are no names, no web email address, nothing attached to this. And for you to share your story about any, like literally anything. If the topic isn't up there, then you can add it. And my goal in this is that it will eventually be a compilation to share with other women who may be dealing with the same thing, because I feel like, you know, as Alleiah said at the top of this, healing comes from exposure. Healing comes from sharing. Healing comes from understanding that you're not the only one and that someone else has been there, done that, and made it through. So those are the 3 things that I would like to highlight. So the short story, the Coveted Collection blog series, and SISTAH.
And for me, I just want to, I guess, reference my most recent blog series, A Hopeless Romantic. If you have not read that, you can check that out on monetstruth.com. And then I will also be speaking tomorrow live on Facebook on a page called Her Healed Heart. So it's a platform that was created for women empowerment, and I was invited to speak in reference to my blog series, A Hopeless Romantic. So tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, I will be live on Facebook again discussing that. So please, please, please tune in.
And what's the Facebook page again?
Her Healed Heart.
Her Healed Heart.
But it will be shared via my Facebook as well. So if you're friends with me, you can find it that way as well. And then lastly, I have an announcement coming out next Sunday. So
not this coming Sunday, but
next Sunday. So just stay tuned. You know, God is moving. He's doing great things. I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited. So just be on the lookout. Announcement coming next Sunday, June 7th. So but yeah, again, that is what we have for you guys. Feel free to connect with us after this if you have questions or just want to say hey, feel free to do that. But yeah,
and feel free to like DM us topics. Like, I mean, we talk about things that have happened to us or Lord drops on our hearts. But if you have like something specific that you want us to talk about, or that you just, you know, kind of want to have a conversation about, we are totally down with that. So
for sure.
Let us know. So happy Friday.
Friday.
We love you guys. Feel free to share this. And again, if you don't follow us, be sure to do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. So yeah, just we want to stay connected.
Yes.
Have a great night.
All right. Love you guys.
So many fingers.
I know.